Alright, stay 23 degrees sideways with me one more time. This is going to be the last part of our mini-series on redlining and environmentalism. Let's talk about bicycles. I grew up loving bicycles. It was a kind of a standard American kid thing. Bicycles. Your first taste of freedom and independence and travel was the bicycle. You know, the old little huffy BMX bike. Of course, in America, we never really treated bikes as a grown-up pastime after about, the 19-teens, 1920s. We really do have a love affair with the automobile. And there's some very valid reasons for that. There was a resurgence in a couple decades ago where bicycles were going to be better used for health and adventure, mountain biking, before they started closing off the trails because it's bad for people to actually have access to the wilderness because the wilderness is pure and people are bad and evil and all of that other stuff. And the left started taking over bicycles as the new green transportation. And don't want to do the right-left thing here, but I kind of have to. So the American left started taking ownership of the bicycle as a means to promote environmentalism and doing less and living less and having less of a footprint and having less stuff and making less money and doing less stuff. Less, less, less. Remember, bigger, better, faster, more. And that's kind of a sad bit of salesmanship there, because the conservatives in general would really get off on bicycle racing and bicycle adventuring and bicycles as a health tool and bicycles for independence if you didn't steal it from them. And it's as much their fault as it is yours, okay? You know, it's like the last World Cup and the conservatives saying, oh, some liberal said soccer's a good sport because Europeans like it, so therefore it's a bad sport because we don't like liberals. That's stupid, okay? Soccer's an awesome sport. But that's a thing that happened, okay? The bicycle got owned. And it got ideologically owned. And it very much is the fault of the left and a little bit of the right. Because the left doesn't want the bad people to like the stuff they like. They do like to be very exclusionary. They're just picky about who they're excluding. But it's still the fault of the right also because they basically gave it away. Now, what does that have to do with our topic? Environmentalism needs to operate on bigger, better, faster, more. I've talked about that, but environmentalism needs to operate with BBFM in part because you need to attract people. You need to not attract people by guilt, but you need to attract people by, well, desire, pride, avarice. Whatever it is, you need to make people want it, not people feel guilty about it. Bicycles got stolen from America, middle America. Well, you need to figure out a way to give the idea of energy efficiency of electric bikes to middle America, to the red states. One way you could do that, of course, is with nuclear power plants. And the left has gotten a little crazy about their anti-technology stance when it comes to nuclear power plants. There's some really bad news about that. Bad news is very simple. If we'd been building nuclear power plants like we should have been, we probably would have stopped using most of the coal about 30 years ago. Sorry, guys. Sorry to my lungs. I think part of the problem that we have when we look at, say, nuclear power plants isn't just the technology. It's the weird, lopsided look that environmentalism often has when it comes to social justice. nuclear power plants are distrusted because of a base distrust of government, corporations, anyone who's doing something that you don't understand. At the same time, that's a deliberate, definitive hurting of the lower classes by preventing them from having an easily accessible source of cheap, affordable electricity. Okay? No more gas heaters. No more dangerous gas heaters. No more carbon monoxide poisoning. More electric cars. Cheaper electric cars. At the same time, it's kind of schizophrenic because the same people who don't want nuclear power plants want government agencies to regulate how much water I take out of my well out here in the middle of nowhere, Nevada. And I'm not joking about that. That's actually a thing. They want to put meters on wells. Environmentalism often acts as a check or a brake on technological progress that would eliminate red lines. The causes, the actual planned solutions or desired avenues of action for environmentalists often increase red lines. Okay? Getting rid of privately owned vehicles. Making everyone use very expensive and very poorly designed electric vehicles instead of gasoline vehicles. Not following that dictum. Bigger, better, faster, more, and cheaper. Trying to restrict access to rapid means of transportation. Everyone should just ride bikes. So I talked about freedom of transportation, and I talked about access to transportation, and I talked about the problem with electric vehicles being promoted by people who want to end personally owned vehicle ownership, and we talked about co-opting things into ideological totems instead of spreading them out into the world. And I don't know if you can grasp the cohesive whole of this, but we need to change our environmentalism, and we need to change it very much away from an ideological basis, especially a left progressive ideological basis, because that doesn't speak to everyone. And honestly, it doesn't speak to more than about 8% of the population. 8, not 80. 8. 8% of Americans are actual progressives. They're just really loud. So, let's fix environmentalism. Let's make it conservative. Okay? That might be a really good idea. Also, can you frickin' fix the engineering on your cars? They should be twice as simple, not 10 times as complex. Jeez, what are you people doing? So, stay sideways.